Aria's here. We're ready. Hey, everyone. Oh my goodness. I think we are officially going to break the internet tonight. Actually, we're not. We're not even going to put that out there. So great to see everybody. I was telling the team, I was saying, whenever we do these free masterclasses post Powerhouse, the energy is just palpable. It's like we just can't wait to be in each other's space and in each other's energy again. So I'm so excited to see you all. Yes, as we're letting people in from the waiting room, please say hi in the chat. Let us know where you're tuning in from. And we're going to get started in just a moment here. Yes, I am also living for the blonde, the brighter blonde. But if you didn't hear the major spoiler, the bangs were fake. Yeah, those were a clip in. So
No, I didn't decide because
I don't think I'll be actually cutting bangs anytime soon. Okay, let's see. We have so many different places represented. I love
I
that.
didn't get
Also, Natalie, if you can just help make sure everyone is muted
I saved the
while we're getting started here. Hello. Gosh, you guys are literally saying hi too fast. I can't even like read all of the names. Yes, I did catch the message about, yes, the bangs were fake, just like the braid, but you know, it's like a whole alter ego. So I will definitely be bringing them back. Let's see. Okay, Sarah's here from Chicago. We have Arizona in the house, Missouri, Dallas, Vermont. Oh my goodness. I wouldn't be surprised if we have almost every single state represented. There's so many of you. It's so great to see all of your faces. So if we haven't had a chance to connect yet, I don't know if, tell me actually in the chat, if you were at the Powerhouse Women event live or if you watched the live stream. I'm curious if there's anyone else, if there's anyone here who was not at the Powerhouse Women event or hasn't watched it yet. This isn't like a trick question. I'm just really curious if there's anyone who found their way here and wasn't with us at the event. Okay, a lot of live streamers. I love that. We had over almost 2,000 people register for the live stream. So pretty cool all around the world. Amazing. A lot of you have watched the live stream. Tracy said she hasn't watched the event yet. That's okay. The good news is that the live stream is going to be available to you until September 8th. So you have access to that for another full week or a little bit more than a week. So definitely, I encourage everyone to catch it if you haven't. I'm very biased, but it was the most incredible day, being in all of your energy, really talking about our big dreams. And I think just like the overall theme that the speakers shared of going for it, right? Facing fear and going for it, which we'll definitely talk a little bit about tonight as well. So, okay, cool. I am just living for all of this energy that everyone is sharing. I see so many familiar faces. Hi, Kristen. Oh, you were there live in 2021 and 22. We definitely missed you in 23, my friend. And there's always next year. So amazing. It's so great to see everybody. Okay, so tonight we're going to be doing a couple of really incredible things. In just a few minutes, I'm going to share some slides. We're going to get into the goods because tonight is all about monetizing your big idea. And one of the things that we find so often, since a lot of you did attend or tune into the Powerhouse Women event, is that coming out of an event like that, a powerful experience like that, you can tend to be on this high, which is very normal when we're in collective, amazing, powerful energy, to feel this high, this emotional peak. And then for it to, okay, we'll get it muted. For that high to really start to wear off. And I just want you to know that that is totally normal, but we also want to equip you with a plan to harness that energy, put it into action, because here's what I always say, because a lot of us might still be in like the high energy feeling, this is such a powerful time to take action around your big ideas, knowing that you don't want to put pressure on yourself to keep that magical feeling like you could do anything forever. Okay. Life and emotions and business are a series of ups and downs. However, when I find myself in these really high emotional states, and when I find myself really connected to my vision and feeling like compelled to take action, you want to harness that. So I want to give you a really clear plan of action. And for those that are looking for more support, more accountability, we're going to talk also about ways that you can continue forward working with me, working with the Powerhouse Women community, if that's something that would support you. But tonight, because we love to give prizes. We love to give and spoil all of you and invest back into the community. So I don't know if you know this, but there are two really epic, huge prizes that we're going to be giving away tonight at the very end of this training. Are we bribing you to stay till the end? Maybe we are, but it's really for your own benefit, because I know that if you can clear distractions and focus in for the next 90 minutes or so, that this information that we talk about tonight, this energy that you're plugging back into, can literally transform your entire life. That's kind of a big statement, but I believe it to be true because I know the power of the Powerhouse Women community and the energy that we create when we're together. So tonight, here's how this is going to work. You guys are already crushing it because the chat is blowing up. There's so much energy in the comment section. Here's kind of how we're going to be deciding the winners of these two prizes. I'm going to tell you what they are in just a moment. Engaging in the chat, supporting one another, really leaning in and being an active participant in this whole conversation. Okay. Again, so many of you are doing an amazing job of that already. The other thing is sharing your takeaways on social media, tagging Powerhouse Women, and it's powerhouse_women. So share it to your Instagram stories. What are you getting? So our entire team is here. We have our amazing community manager, Natalie. We're going to have our amazing social media manager, Patrice, also here. So, and then Hannah, our COO, my business partner, is here. So, okay, great. There's Patrice. We knew she was there somewhere. And so we're kind of all going to be like watching and seeing who's engaging and who's really showing up ready to learn tonight. And at the end, we're going to choose somewhat randomly, but somewhat based on who's really adding the most value to this conversation. We're going to choose two winners to get two different prizes. The first one is an all expense paid trip to the 2024 Powerhouse Women event. I know you get to come. We'll fly you out here, pay for your hotel, give you a little bit of spending money, and then you'll get a VIP ticket. I know every time I say it, I'm like, I really can't believe we do this. Can we really do this? But it's one of our favorite prizes to give away. So we're going to be giving one of you an all expense paid trip to Powerhouse Women next year. We don't have the date yet, but it's always around this time. And then the other is investing in your new business, your future business, or your growing business with a brand new computer, a brand new MacBook computer. So we're giving away two different prizes to two different winners. One of you is getting the trip, one of you is getting the MacBook computer, and I cannot wait to see who wins. So again, you're already doing it. You're already supporting one another and adding value in the chat. Make sure you're also sharing your takeaways on social media and tagging Powerhouse_women, because we will be watching, and that's really how we're going to choose the winner. But those are some incentives to hopefully help you commit to clearing distractions and staying all the way till the end. And really seeing what you need to shift within you in order to dedicate this time to yourself, to your big ideas, and ultimately to the people you want to serve over the next, let's call it 81 minutes now, okay? So without further ado, I'm gonna dive into the content for tonight because we've got so much to cover, and we're gonna do, as always, in true Powerhouse Women style. Once I get these slides pulled up, we are gonna do a little connection because it would not be a Powerhouse Women call without a little bit of connection time. So let me get to the beginning and then we will get rolling. And you can let me know in the chat. Can everyone see the slides? Can you all see where it says monetize your big idea? Okay, great, perfect, thank you. So tonight, I want to set the intention, again, in case any of you stumbled upon this training and you're like, I actually don't even know why I'm here. Tonight, we're going to talk about it. I'm going to teach you the one thing. It's literally so simple, but it's but it also can feel really complicated. So we're going to break it down, but I'm going to teach you this one thing that the most successful entrepreneurs that I know and that I've personally been in rooms with, the thing they're doing differently to scale their business and generate consistent sales. In order to set yourself up for success tonight, we already talked a little bit about this. I want you to just take a moment right now, clear any distractions that you are able to, and then we want to start connecting. So take a moment. A lot of you are already doing this. I want you to drop your Instagram handle in the chat. So many of you are already doing this. And then this is our favorite little connection game to play. So what you're going to do, I know the comments are moving really fast. So see if you can scroll up and find the person who commented right above you. So what you're going to do is you're just going to take 2 seconds right now, go to Instagram, find their Instagram account, hit follow, and then just send them a quick hello DM. If they have a private account, you might not be able to send it right away. But what's going to happen is you're going to send one DM and you're going to receive one DM. So no matter what happens tonight, you know, whether or not you decide that you want to move forward and work closer with us in one of our programs, or if, you know, if you're just brand new to the community and you haven't met a soul, we want to make sure that you walk away tonight knowing that you are so not alone on this journey, that you are supported by others who are on the same path as you are. So go ahead, and I see the comments are literally flying. I know, can we save this chat thread? Yeah, Laura, it is literally flying. I can't look at it. It's making my eyes go cross-eyed in the best way. I love it. I love the energy. So take a few minutes. Yes, go and follow each other, connect. And while you're doing that, while you're at it, put your phone on Do Not Disturb, put it on airplane mode after you send that hello DM. And yes, it's just a really fun way to make some new connections, make some new friends. And something we're going to be talking about in just a little while is the importance of creating opportunities like this for your business to help people connect. So I'm going to refer back to this in just a little while, because this is a perfect example of something so simple that you can do in different ways within your own business. And I'll share later why this is so powerful. So, okay, I see you're still all connecting. I love this, and keep doing that. But as you're making your connections, okay, it looks like most of you have already connected and sent your message. I want to kind of just start to bring some context to why you're here tonight. And if you find yourself in any one of these places, you are in the right place. You are totally attending the right masterclass. This information is going to help you and help the people that you want to serve. Number one is, if you have a business that either isn't making any money yet, maybe you just kind of have this idea, it hasn't launched, or your business is not making the money that you want it to. So maybe you're even making a great income, but you're starting to feel that sense that there's more. There's just this next level for you to unlock, and you're like, I kind of feel like I tapped into like what I already know. I'm ready to learn what's going to take me to that next level. So if you're in that place, you're here for a reason. Number two, maybe you're someone who has an idea for a business, but you have no clue where to start. No clue how to start. You just wish someone would literally say, here's the plan, follow these steps, and you're going to be on your way. So number two, that could be you. Maybe number three is more of what fits you. You're building a side hustle right now. You're working full time. You've got this big vision, and you really want to be able to pursue it full time, maybe even like leave that corporate job behind, but you're just not sure how to make it happen, right? Not sure how to jump from where you're at right now to that like feeling of, okay, I could do this. I can really make the leap. And then number four is, and I have so been here at so many stages in my own journey, where you feel like you've been at this for a while. You feel like you're taking all the right actions, all the actions that like the gurus and the marketing bros on Instagram say to take. I don't know why I giggle every time I say that, because I think of, that's just not really my style. You're doing all the right actions, and you just feel like you're not quite getting the results that you desire, and you want some help identifying what may be a little off. Now, what I love is we already have ESP. You're already starting to put in the chat where you see yourself. And I love it. Some of you are saying all of the above. Some of you are saying 1 and 4, 1, 2, and 3. I love it. But if any of these resonate with you, then you are in the right place. And tonight's conversation is one that can help you to transform you from where you are to where you want to be. I'm gonna teach you. Oh,
Oh,
it's always weird when
it's
you hear
weird
your
when you
own.
hear your own.
Okay, we good? All right, so I'm going to teach you the one thing that the most successful entrepreneurs are doing differently to scale their business and generate consistent sales. And this is the same growth strategy that has helped me / Powerhouse Women as a brand. Everything from launch a best-selling book and launch physical products like our Girl Gang jackets, to launch a top podcast, which is something that's a huge driver of our brand, and sell out our events, our programs. It's the exact strategy that has helped me go from knowing that I was meant for more. And yes, this is actually me with long dark hair. I always have to preface that. I've gone through many phases, and you will notice that as you grow and as you evolve, the outside and the physical, form of you might also evolve. Okay. So this is back in that stage where I knew I was meant for more. I knew it. I couldn't shake it. And I had no idea what kind of business I was going to start. I had no idea how to get a business off the ground, but I could not shake that feeling. Couldn't shake it. And this strategy, now this photo was taken in about 2017, right before my first book was released. And to go from that to 6 years later, having this incredible community. And if you're new here, you're probably already feeling that the energy here is different. And I'm not one to really lead with sharing numbers, because I actually don't believe that that's the thing we should pay the most attention to. We shouldn't just want to work with people because of how much money they make. I think we should want to work with them because of their heart, their character. Would we want to trade lives with them? Do they have a business that they love and relationships that are fulfilling? But I also am really passionate about showing you what's possible and teaching you how to monetize an idea in a really significant way, because that is what's going to allow you to make the full impact you want to make. That's what's going to allow you to live the life that you want to live. So these same strategies have helped us generate over $3 million in sales over the past 6 years. When I did the math, I was a little bit shocked, because quite honestly, to me, I do like to track numbers so I know that my business is healthy. But the most important thing to me are the transformations that I'm seeing in all of you. And when you focus on that, like we're going to talk about tonight, that is where the monetization side really starts to take off. But it does actually require some strategy. So I just want you to take a moment right now and think about this question, okay? So for me, this has been a journey of about 6 years. Now, 6 years is a long time, but it's also not. Like, actually think about where you and your big idea could be. 5 years is just like a nice round number. 5 years from now, if you commit to mastering what we're going to talk about tonight and you don't give up. Like, I know that sounds so simple, but we've all had those moments where we want to quit. I've had those moments where I want to quit. But where could you and your big idea be 5 or 6 years from now? And where do you want it to be? If you're willing to share that, even share that in the chat. Because here's the other thing that I know, and I just got chills as I kind of switched to this slide. I know, because I've done this enough times, that some of you are here tonight and you have seriously thought about quitting on your big idea. Because it's not going the way you want. It's not feeling the way you thought it would feel. It feels harder. It feels like everyone else is flying by you and creating these amazing results overnight. And you've seriously thought about quitting. But if you're here tonight, I'm here to tell you that I love you far too much to let you quit. And even more than that, I love the people who you're meant to impact far too much to let you quit and deny them their transformation. So if you are ready to be called up into a higher performing version of yourself, one that no matter how much it sucks, no matter how much you want to quit, no matter how much we cry, we are not going to quit, because there are people literally counting on us to keep going so that they can experience the transformation that they need to have. And I do believe that fundamentally, learning how to launch and scale your idea into a profitable business, one that's sustainable, one that generates consistent sales, so you can provide for the life you want, but also provide for your business. You can give really generously. That is one of the most powerful ways to live a life that you are absolutely obsessed with. And this isn't to say that you can't live an absolute dream life if you're working for corporate America, or, I have my own team here. Like, there are plenty of people who work in another person's business. But I want to help you either help another business grow and work as a part of a mission that you are really passionate about. Or I would imagine that a lot of you are here tonight because you feel like at least part of your destiny is to have a business of your own, whether that's full-time or part-time. So let's rock and roll. But before we do that, if anyone who remembers this training from last year, you remember we had this whole conversation. And when I was going back through and, kind of refining the slides, I was like, yeah, this is important to talk about. Because we started this whole conversation about how, it's so wild, isn't it? How, take another profession. Let's say you're a brain surgeon. Okay. I don't know if there's any brain surgeons in the house. So you're full permission to call me out if these facts are wrong. But if you think about something that takes as much skill as performing surgery, you wouldn't expect that, after the first day of brain camp is what we called it. I'm pretty sure it's called medical school, but we're going to call it brain camp. You wouldn't expect to show up on the job and just be really proficient in what it takes to operate on someone's brain. You would expect that it's going to take you time and repetition and learning from mentors, from people who have done what you want to do. Yes, Taya said, thank God for that. Amen. But I love this analogy because it's so extreme. It kind of makes us go, oh yeah. So why is it that, I don't know about any of you, but I had like a marketing degree, but college actually taught me very little about how to have my own business. I had to seek out mentors and training and free resources, and over time learn exactly how, not just to have a successful business, but how to do it my authentic way. And that's something that I'm very passionate about, because what has worked for one person may not work for you. And I think what the beauty of the fact that education is, so readily available right now is we can literally pick and choose and find what feels authentic to us. But regardless, most of us are not born just automatically knowing how to get a successful business up and running. It takes time. And so my question is, are you willing to do what it takes for as long as it takes in order to create the results that you desire? And I kind of keep coming back to this point of not giving up and sticking with it, because, even like the information we're going to go through tonight, I'm going to give you the framework. So you're literally going to walk out of this masterclass. I imagine it's rolled up like one of those old timey scrolls, but you're going to have this roadmap. Now I'm thinking of it like a treasure map. You guys can see where my squirrel brain goes sometimes, but you're going to have the roadmap. That doesn't mean that you're going to go out tomorrow and your business is going to hit $1 million or 6 figures. It means you're going to have the roadmap to say, okay, I'm starting at square one. So here's step one of what I need to focus on. And it may take me a year to master this part, but if I continue to dedicate myself, continue to hone my skills, learn from people who've done what I want to do and who have the results I want to have, I know that if I stick to it, I will have the results that I want to create. And, I think that compared to brain camp, which apparently brain surgeons go to school for 14 to 16 years, I think we can do it faster, which is the good news. But even if it took you 15 years to create the literal dream life and business that you've always wanted to have, wouldn't it be worth it? If you got to impact people and that's what you spent every single day of your life doing, is something that you love. Most of us go to school, you know, in like the grand scheme of our schooling, we go to school for longer than that. So I want you to keep this in mind as we dive into tonight's information, because for some of you, you're on day 1 of Brain Camp, okay? And that just means that you're gonna have the framework, you're gonna have the syllabus, but it doesn't necessarily mean that tomorrow or next month or even in a year, you're gonna have the exact results you want. But I promise you this, if you commit yourself to learning what we're gonna go through and mastering it and finding your unique way of implementing it, you can create anything that you desire. So here's what we're gonna cover tonight. Here's our actual treasure map for the masterclass, and then we'll be unveiling, you know, really the treasure map for monetizing your big idea as we go along. So we're going to talk about what successful entrepreneurs do differently. That's the first thing we're going to dive into. We're also going to talk about how to diagnose why an offer isn't selling. This is something that's really important because this is the point where I feel like people want to quit and give up, and they make it personal. So we're going to talk about how to diagnose why an offer isn't selling. And I will give you a spoiler alert. None of it has to do with the fact that you're not good enough or you're not meant to do this. There's just some factors that we're going to talk about where you can look at these places when and if you have an offer that isn't selling the way that you want it to, and it's going to help make it less personal. It's going to help make it feel less like, well, what's wrong with me? We're going to talk about the 3 critical elements to creating consistent sales. These are like the 3 pillars of your treasure map, okay? We are going to talk about, because some of you will be wondering after this, okay, how can I continue this journey with Powerhouse Women? How can I work with you, Lindsay? How can I work with your team? I'm going to share that because I would actually be doing you a disservice if I didn't. And then we are at the very end going to answer some questions. So if you have questions along the way, just because the chat is going so fast and furious, I'll try to catch them as they come in. If you're free to put them in the chat, but hold on to them till the end if I happen to miss your question, and we'll definitely leave some time for that. But I want to get into the goods now that we have agreed. We're signing up for day 1 of Brain Camp, and no matter which day of Brain Camp you're on, you're going to have compassion for yourself to be a student and to learn the fundamentals so that you can scale a really beautiful, really sustainable business. But really the question of the hour is this: what are the most successful entrepreneurs doing differently? It's very simple, and it's this: they have a system, that's a key word there, to generate consistent sales. Sales being the other key word there, because sales are the lifeblood of your business. You actually don't have a business if your business is not selling something for a profit that is, you know, monetizing in some way. Otherwise, you know, let's say you have like a really beautiful hobby that's not actually bringing in money. What defines it as a business is you are solving people's problems for a profit. Now, that's not to say that there's anything wrong with hobbies. I have plenty of hobbies. I saw Big Kid Rick is in the chat and tuning in tonight. I am not paid to be a dancer and attend Rick's classes. No one has offered to pay me for those services yet, but I still have a life, right? That's like rounded out with the things that I love. I don't know where I got off on that tangent, but no one's paying me for dancing, right? That's a hobby versus a business. We're going to get you on a stage dancing soon enough. Hey, I'm not saying that I shouldn't be paid for my dancing, but it's just not happening yet. So when we look at what makes a sales system, so a system is made up of 3 critical components in this context. And it's these 3 things. Now, this is the part where it's going to be like, oh, that's so simple. Like, why didn't I ever think about it like that? But as we start to dig into some of the nuances, this is where each one of these pieces has so many different layers to it that have, for me, taken me years to master. So the 3 components of a sales system are this: the right offer. Your offer just simply means the thing that you're selling. a product, a service. It could be a coaching program. We have, women within the Powerhouse Women community who monetize everything from, physical products. They have brick and mortar stores. They have e-commerce businesses. They have, coaching companies. There's pretty much everything represented within the Powerhouse Women community at this point. The next piece is having the correct audience, an aligned audience to put your offer in front of. And you need to have enough of the right people who are interested in what it is that you sell in order to be able to convert consistent sales. And then the last piece is you have to be able to communicate your offer and how it can help people to your audience in a way that makes them say, yes, I need that. Now think about it this way. Let's say you have the perfect offer. Oh my gosh, it's so good. It is literally the answer for what people need. And you have the perfect audience. You've got the thing, everything that they want, but you can't figure out how to put the words together, or maybe you feel like too salesy, you're like really shy with putting it out there. And so if you have the right offer and the right audience, but you don't know how to communicate it to them, it's not going to sell the same way that as if you had everything put together. If you have the right offer with the perfect message, but you don't have it in front of the right audience, I see this happen a lot. People think like, oh, I've got all these social media followers. Well, are they actually the people who need your offer? And if it's not the right audience, or the audience size isn't big enough to reach the goals that you want, again, you're just going to fall short of the goals that you have for your sales. And the last piece, we're kind of just testing this theory that if even one of these elements is missing, your business isn't set up to generate consistent sales. It needs to be all three. So if you have the right offer, if you have, let's say, the perfect audience, you know exactly how to speak to them, but the offer isn't something that they actually want or need, once again, you're not going to see the sales that you're really wanting. So if one of these elements is missing, your audience just isn't set up to generate consistent sales. Now you'll notice no part of this says you have to be a complete genius, you have to be an expert, you have to have 1 million years of experience or 10,000 Instagram followers. I didn't say any of that. But as you refine these three elements, especially those of you who are starting, if anyone here, and tell me if this is you, is anyone like brand new, like doesn't have a business yet, you're really here to learn, okay, how do I set this up from day one for profitability? Or maybe you're here and you're like, I want to create a new product. Okay, great. So a lot of you are day oneers. Here's what I want you to really focus on. Refining each of these three elements, and we're going to go through each of them like high level. This is where you start. So if you're totally confused, like, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start, you want to start with these three elements kind of in this order. The right offer, we're going to dive into that. Building your audience, we're going to dive into that. And then refining the messaging. Okay. So everything else that feels so overwhelming, that's important, but I want to boil it down to like a really easy to follow formula so that you don't get confused and overwhelmed and then quit. Now I want to talk a little bit about this piece. So that was for those of you who kind of the way to think about it if you're someone who is starting something brand new. But let's talk to those of you who maybe you have an offer and maybe it's actually selling pretty well, but you're like, okay, Linz, how do I take it to the next level? Like I've already generated X, I want to generate 10X with this offer. So here is kind of like if I were, I don't know where I come up with these analogies, guy. Ready for it? If I were like a business doctor, right? And I were diagnosing your offer, I would start to look at this like, okay, maybe the reason an offer isn't selling is because it doesn't clearly address a compelling want or need that your perfect customer has. Okay. So that could be number one reason why an offer isn't selling. It's just not the right offer for them. Or it could be that your current audience doesn't have enough of the right people who want and need your offer. So I remember one of the times that we launched Six Figure School, I share this story a lot because this was really eye-opening for me. we had this launch that just kind of fell short of my very, very high expectations. And when I did a debrief with myself, I said, okay, I see where I went wrong. I took just the results I got in the last launch and I just said like, oh, I want to, double my launch results. But the truth is I hadn't poured in that year to doubling the size of my audience. If I wanted double results, I needed double the amount of new people to put that offer in front of. And when I looked at my actual numbers, what I converted for that launch was actually so spot on with like traditionally what you would see in terms of conversion rates. So based on the size of my email list and my social media presence, I was actually, trending above what would be expected for the size of the launch that I did. But I immediately started to make it personal. What's wrong with me? Why am I not successful? Do people not want to work with me? This was, a few years ago. And for a few minutes there, it really challenged me. And so this is what I talk about. It's the ability to take emotion out of it and look at facts, not feelings. Okay, do you have the size of the audience with the right people in it to convert according to what your goal is? And then the third reason why an offer isn't selling could be that the messaging just needs to be tweaked. I love it. Hannah said, the facts hurt my feelings. Same, sister, same. But when I can come back to like, okay, I made that mean. I made those facts mean that I'm not good enough, when really all it is, oh, okay, my goal for the next year is to grow my audience. I need to learn some new skills and learn how to grow my audience. And once you can identify the reason or one of the reasons, sometimes it's a little bit of a combo, but again, I always just go back to like, is the offer solid? Get some feedback. Is it really what people want? Okay, if that checks out, how big is my audience? Have I invested enough time and energy to grow the audience that I need to hit these sales goals? And then if that's checks out, then I'll look at the messaging and I'll even get some feedback there. Hey, what part of this isn't resonating? How does this messaging on my sales page land with you? I'm a big proponent of feedback. And these are things that, again, I can tell you just the blanket statement that these are going to be the most common reasons an offer isn't selling. But that doesn't mean that the fix is an overnight fix, because it might mean that for the next season, your work is to dedicate yourself to really becoming more proficient in one or all three of these areas. But I want to dive into each of them and give you a little bit of like triage, whether you're starting brand new or whether you're kind of going to take this information and do a little deep dive into what's happening with your offers. So I love it. Gina said, this is already so helpful and we're 4 slides in. That makes me so happy. Okay, great. So I want you, this is actually something that I use in my own business all the time. Whenever I am coming up with a new offer, I think about something similar that I recently purchased. Okay, so those of you who have product-based businesses, think of a similar category product that you purchased. And what was it that at that moment, right? Was it like a well-placed Instagram ad or an influencer that you love to follow that's like, oh, here is this thing that I use? I mean, I literally feel like that is me all the time. Any products I buy are usually, yeah, it was pretty. Natalie said, okay, perfect. This is great. So Megan said it was their personal brand. So powerful, right? These are giving us some clues into what was it that made that offer feel irresistible to you. Okay. So just give me some other examples in the comments. If you, and maybe give me like, what was it that you purchased? Was it a course, a mentorship program? Did you hire a new mentor? Did you buy a product? Was it clothing? Mary said that transformation was possible. That's huge. We're going to talk a lot about transformation. Let's see. Oh, and I love all the connections happening. Let's see, trust, referred by trusted friends. Absolutely. So if you realize that like having referrals is a really powerful driver for the thing that you sell, then I would be asking myself, how can I create an offer that people naturally want to refer, or even go as far as creating like an affiliate program? That's so perfect. made my life easier, personal stories, their energy sold me. I love that. Tasha said it was sparkly. Valid, absolutely valid. Perfect. Ratings. Ooh, that's a really big one, right? So for what you sell, if having like high ratings is important, so helpful. Okay, so this is one of the most powerful questions to use for yourself when you're crafting an offer. Is it that they priced it in a way and gave me kind of like a time sensitive discount that I was like, ooh, that solves a need I have and I want it, and they're giving me a smoking deal? Done. So really think about, what was it that had you say yes, and then how does that apply to the thing that you sell? And I usually will do this like offer by offer, because it's going to be a little bit different, again, based on what you're selling. So if you're a business like us that has a lot of different offers that we have, I will actually ask this question for each different offer. Here are some questions, and your worksheets, if you haven't already downloaded the worksheets that came along with this masterclass, there will be some more space for you to really start to work on this. But here are just some high level questions. If you're brand new, just starting on a new offer, or you're just starting a business, you really want to just really start with, who is it that you want to serve, and what is the transformation that they want? What do you know that will help them get that transformation that maybe they don't know? And this will be tie back to the messaging piece for how you actually communicate that. And being able to tie, we're going to talk about this in messaging as well. So it's going to seem like I'm kind of going fast through this, but it's going to come back because this will tie back into messaging. So how are you going to deliver that transformation? And then what's the promise? What is the thing that you're like, yep, if you purchase this, you're going to feel a certain way? And this is a question I'll often get is from, I've worked with a lot of product-based businesses, and it can often seem like, well, I don't really solve a problem. I just sell something that's cool and people want it. Well, here's what you need. I really encourage you to think about. So if there's any product-based businesses in the chat, let me see that. Jennifer Pinner, ding, ding, ding. She nailed it. It fulfills a desire. And the things that I purchase are directly tied to how I want to see myself. Perfect example. You're literally looking at like this is my office. Do you see a speck of color? I love neutral tones. I love to create a serene environment. The candles that I buy, the scents that I buy, I have a persona, a way that I want to see myself. And the thing that I purchase literally makes me feel like the person I want to be. Whether that's my clothing, whether that's the health supplements that I buy. So as you start to dig into this, you start to realize that sometimes the problem you solve is actually that you help someone step into an aspirational identity that they want to see themselves as. And that goes for products and services. Here's the other piece to it. The more you obsess about and understand your audience and the people that you serve, the more irresistible your offers will become. The more you literally know exactly who it is you're speaking to, the more you're like, oh, I know exactly what they need. Because number one, they told me. And number two, they told me why they want it and exactly how to say it in a way that has them say, yes, I need that. So something that we teach a ton within one of our programs, Six Figure School, is about getting feedback. And we teach you how to get it and how to really dig for the gold within the feedback that people are giving you, so that you can serve them better. But if you're just starting out, when I think about early stages of Powerhouse Women, I didn't have, how many are we up to? Almost, over 300 women on a Zoom call who are engaging in the chat. I had like 3 women who were really the inspiration behind what I wanted, the transformation I wanted to offer people. And I just asked them like, hey, tell me, where are you struggling right now? What's like the roadblock that's keeping you from moving forward? Like, tell me more about that. So it doesn't have to be a large group of people. You don't have to collect a ton of feedback. If you really just focus on asking people what they want and need and listening for the themes, you're going to start to see the gaps where you can fill that with one of your offers. Annalise asked, so the ones buying now is who I can ask. So it could be your current customers. I think there's actually 2 points where it's really valuable to get feedback right after someone made a purchase. Like, hey, if you've ever gotten like an email saying like, hey, thank you so much for your purchase. Would you be willing to take this short survey in exchange for like a $5 discount or something, if it's a physical product, or some kind of incentivization to, to get people to tell you, oh, this is what spoke to me. So you can survey people at that point, or survey people who just fit the ideal demographic of someone you want to serve. So in the beginning, I didn't even have an offer to offer people. I just said, hey, I'm thinking about creating XYZ. I'm thinking about creating this women's event. I'd love to know, like, what would you be most interested in hearing and learning? And I just found people who were willing to give me feedback. Now, a lot of them didn't answer or, thought I was weird, but whatever. I got enough feedback from a few people that it really helped me. But I want to dive into this audience piece because I find that I think this is where a lot of us get stuck. I think we get stuck thinking that like, oh, if I just had a bigger audience, this would all be solved. That's why I want to start by building this piece by piece, because you have to understand the problem you want to solve and how are you going to solve that, AKA your offer, to know, well, what kind of an audience do you need to build? But I want to hear from you a little feedback. See what I'm doing? Getting feedback. A little feedback. What has been your biggest challenge when it comes to growing your audience? Is it, you can just drop the number in the chat, number 1, not knowing what to post on social media? I know a lot of people say that. I also sometimes feel that way. Is it number 2, getting people to engage with your content? Like you feel like you're putting great content out, but it's not engaging enough. Maybe number 3, you feel like it's not growing fast enough. I would guess that's probably a lot of us or all of us. Or number 4, just knowing which platforms to focus on. There's so many now, right? And that can be really kind of tricky. Okay, great. Well, I just want to like pause even right here and say, do you realize how we're all in the same boat? I just really want to keep bringing you back to this. Like if anyone who literally was here tonight and you're like, yep, I'm actually still considering I might quit, but this is making me feel like I'm not on an island, like I'm not all alone. You're so not alone. And I love it. Number 5, what does that say? Not delivering content to the audience. Oh, consistent. And you nailed it too. Yeah, being consistent with doing all of the above. Well, I'm going to give you, okay, I think it's coming soon. I'm like, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. We're going to go there. Here's what I want to say though. You do not need a huge audience to have a profitable business. Now, it kind of depends on what level of profitability you want, right? So obviously the audience is going to have to grow in proportion to the results you want to produce. But Powerhouse Women is living proof that you do not need a giant size audience to have a profitable business. You do, however, need to think differently when your audience is smaller. The goal should always be to grow it, right? To reach new people. But you don't have to have a huge audience. Powerhouse Women, one of our huge strengths, and I'm going to share our like top secret for doing this, is that we've consistently outsold the size of our audience. And what I mean by that is we've converted at much higher numbers for the size of the audience that we have. But I also think it helped that, I'll be honest, I never saw the size of our audience as a problem. Never. I never once was like, oh, I would be so much more successful if I just had more people listening to me. Now, I know it's important to focus on growth, but I have been so focused from the very beginning on this one simple thing that has allowed us to create crazy conversion results with a small audience. And I'm literally going to teach it to you. But this is, I knew there was something in there that I was like, ooh, this part is going to can I just be really, really honest with you? I'm going to be anyway. So, but it's coming from a place of love. And this is coming from my own experience. So I am calling myself out, but I am also going to point something out to you that might be a little bit hard to hear. The real reason, if your audience hasn't been growing, here is the actual reason why. You haven't yet become the person who is ready and can handle more visibility. I just want you to like really sit with that just for a moment. Now before we start to add more feelings to these, these words, I'm not saying that you aren't worthy of more visibility, because you actually are. You're very worthy of more visibility. And my friend Jen Gottlieb, who we got to hear from at the event, says it so well. Visibility is our responsibility. And so when we're not putting ourselves out there in a way that we're being visible at the level that it has people attracted to us and our brand is growing, it's usually rooted, for myself, just sharing my truth, it's rooted in my own discomfort of being seen and really dealing with worthiness and fear of criticism. And so these are all things that I've worked deeply on over the last 6+ years. And as I've worked on this root, it's really the root versus the fruit, right? The fruit is having more eyeballs and more people, noticing what you're doing. The root of it is, are you grounded enough in who you are that as that audience grows, even if there's maybe some, I don't want to like say that this is every single case, but statistically speaking, and I talked about this on Saturday at the event, as your audience grows, as there's more people looking at you and seeing you, there's going to be a few who misunderstand you. And sometimes misunderstanding you means they're just flat out critical and mean. And, there's a little bit of that. But when you're grounded in who you are, when you've become the person who can handle more visibility with grace and with love and with compassion, you have the opportunity to impact thousands. But you don't impact thousands until you are willing to be misunderstood by a few. Meredith, that's such a great question. Meredith asked, how do you become more grounded and do this work? Whew, I mean, like that could literally be its own masterclass on its own. But I will share this. For me, I've had to look at, where do I get triggered, especially around visibility? So first, it was really looking at my very deep-rooted people-pleasing tendencies. Now you'll notice I don't say I am a people pleaser. I'm not. I have some very deep-rooted and learned behaviors that look like people pleasing and look like not setting boundaries. So I looked at, where do I get triggered and how can I do the work around that trigger to release myself from it and be ready for a greater level of visibility. So I do think our triggers are our greatest teachers. But I want to just kind of do a little pulse check on if you can relate to any of these, because this is so deeply rooted to what we're talking about. If you struggle to show up consistently, I know some of you shared that. Maybe you even struggle. You're always kind of overthinking what to post, or you're worried about what people will think of you if you just actually showed up and said what you wanted to say. Listen, I still worry about this, okay? These are literally things that I actively worry about on a daily basis, and I'm always mindful. And this for me is pointing me toward, back to the question, what my current work to get my identity ready for more visibility looks like. So am I really worried in this season about like criticism? If I show up and I say what I want to say, is that my biggest fear? Do you compare yourself? Are you constantly paralyzed because you're looking around at everyone who's doing the same thing as you and you feel like they're doing it better? Been there, done that, got the t-shirt, okay? Or do you feel really uncomfortable promoting your offers and you're just worried that you're coming off as salesy versus that you're coming off as being of service? Or this has probably been my biggest, is just my tendency to really avoid criticism of any type. And you really you will not make the full impact you're meant to make if you're trying to please everybody. And I'm still very much in this lesson with you. Again, we're kind of touching on some of these like deeper mindset pieces, because if I just jump to what I am going to share next, which is some strategy, but we don't talk about the fact that the first piece of it is getting your identity ready for more visibility, then I'm setting you up to possibly fail. And I don't want to do that because I love you too much. So we're not going to dive deep into these, but this is actually when I talk at the end just about some of the options to work together. It's one of the reasons that mindset is a huge component of everything I teach, because it's not just the strategy, friends. If it were just learning a strategy, we would all just go out and do the thing and get the results. But then there's the whole like human part and like this whole bad neighborhood, you know, like the one you never want to be alone at night walking around in these like 6 inches. If that wasn't part of it, we would all just succeed a lot faster, but it is. And that's a piece of being human. It's actually a beautiful piece of being human, because on the other side of that growth, you literally get to know yourself as someone that you've never been before. And that's pretty freaking cool. So growing your audience does require strategy and mindset, but the number one key is growing yourself as a leader. But I do want to give you some strategy, because it's strategy too. And you know, it's kind of simple. And I'm actually going to give you kind of this little nugget of, you know, this is literally the gold right here. But then I'll share with you, we decided to re-air some of my favorite podcast episodes I've ever created for you guys. And they dropped yesterday on the Powerhouse Women podcast. We haven't even shared it on social yet. We dropped a series of, I think it's 3 episodes all about this. So go deeper into it. We're just going to touch the high level tonight, but I'm always going to equip you with more resources to go and dig deeper into this. But the number one secret to outselling the size of our audience is understanding there is a huge difference between building an audience and cultivating community. And here's what it is. When you're building your audience, which is important, I'm not saying do one of these and not the other. We need people to know who you are and what you're doing and how amazing you are. But when you're focused on audience growth, you're really asking, okay, how do I get more people to connect with me, to connect with my brand, and want to know what I'm doing? That is important. It's just leaving a really important piece out of the equation, which is this. When you focus then on cultivating community, some of you know this because I literally say this till I'm blue in the face, you're asking a deeper question. You're asking, okay, now how do I help more of those people connect with each other? I'm going to take you back to the very beginning of this conversation in this call. What was the first thing that I had you do? Connect with each other. At every touch point within Powerhouse Women as a team, we focus on how do we get more people to connect with each other? And here's why. You guys watched it happen in the chat. There were so many of you who were like, hey, I found my way here through so-and-so, or I attended the Powerhouse Women event just because my girlfriend was raving about it. She wouldn't shut up. And I was like, great, I'll come. It literally starts to become this organic referral network. It creates this magnetic energy. That's actually what you're feeling. When you feel the energy of Powerhouse Women, it is because we prioritize connection at every touch point, and it creates magic, absolute magic. So the thing to be asking yourself coming out of tonight, and then go listen to those 3 podcast episodes, because there's a lot more like deeper training in there. When you cultivate a deep sense of connection, you can literally outsell the size of any audience. The connection is the part that, man, so many businesses step over this, and they're just leaving money on the table. They're leaving impact on the table. And I'm so excited to share something huge that we created to help you do this, because I've gotten this question more than anything else. More than anything else that I've been asked is just, how have you done it? How have you literally created this like energy that I can't even put into words? And we broke it down finally in a framework, and I'm going to share a little bit more about that at the end. But I want to stay on track and share the 3rd piece of this formula, which is the messaging piece. Now, this is probably the one, I'll just be really honest, this is the one that has taken me the longest to really master. So give yourself lots of grace, tons of grace. You're going to get better and better and better the more you get to know your people, the more that you practice, the more that you take free masterclasses like this one. But I want to equip you just with like some kind of high level things to know when you're thinking about your messaging. These are kind of the most important things that you want to think about. Now, messaging is really anywhere that you communicate with your community. through writing, through your social media, through videos, on your website, in your emails, anywhere. Effective messaging has to capture people's attention. We live in such a busy world / life. There's just things fighting for our attention all the time. If you can capture people's attention and kind of be, I don't think you have to be loud or obnoxious or, clickbait-y. I think when you're, here's been what's authentic for me. I connect from my heart. I want to be that voice that's like, hey, come here. Yeah, I know. Here's a hug. I love you. And like, here's a little truth bomb. I'm going to kind of, I know that stung, but here's another hug. And you can do this. You can totally do this. So that's what's authentic to me. And you guys, the number of like courses and mentors I've worked with that just have a totally different style than me, and what they do works for them amazingly. But then when I tried to do it, I was like, that just doesn't feel right. The more you just really trust your own intuition and your own heart and really get to know your people, just obsess over the people that you serve. And I feel like that's where the magic of like your true voice comes through. And when you do that, it does build trust. It demonstrates empathy and authority. Your messaging can, it should clearly, without too many words, articulate your offer. So even as I'm reading this, I'm like, whew, okay, that's a lot. That's a lot of things that messaging needs to do. So I want to just come back to this. Your authentic voice will be the most powerful one for the people that you serve. I stood on stage at the Powerhouse Women event, and I was like, I got off stage after we were talking about six-figure school, and I did the, kind of shared the opportunity. And I was like, my blood sugar was so low at that point. I like had skipped eating a snack, and I was like, I feel like that was terrible. But here's the thing. When you're sharing from an authentic place and from your heart, I know, I can't believe I skipped my snackies. Here's the thing. I know that I could have maybe been a little bit more clear. That's what I felt. I felt like, I kind of skipped saying some things that I wish I would have said. But because I was sharing from the heart, it still was effective in reaching the people that I wanted it to reach. So can we all agree? Let's take a collective deep breath. This is more for me than for you, but deep breath. We're going to give ourselves grace. Let me see it. Give ourselves grace to find our effective, authentic voice over time. I'm still working on it. But the more that I allow myself to speak from my heart and trust that it's going to speak to the people it's meant to, the better things happen to go. It's kind of cool. But I want to show this. And again, I'm always kind of like, I never want this to be the main focus or this to come off as anything other than showing you what's possible. But this was something I dedicated a year last year. I was like, you know what? I want to become better and more effective at messaging. Like, I'm really committed to this. And it's one of the things that I wanted to become better at, because I also wanted to be able to teach you better. And it's the number one thing that I see people struggle with. But this is the power of effective messaging, okay? This is a program that we launch every year. And this was our launch. Now, again, this is not gross. This is net revenue. So take that for what it is. Whenever people share their numbers, remember, there's also business expenses involved. Okay, this isn't just like I just throw it over my shoulder and like a sack of money and just run to the bank. But I want you to see how the impact on sales. Okay, so our sales of this program, all I changed from one launch to the next was the messaging. I got clearer. I really spent time, like an entire year, learning from people who are great at messaging, making it my own, learning how to communicate more effectively, and really put like powerful words together. One launch to the next, almost tripled. Now, remember, I'm also 10 years into my business. And someone asked if I took a course. Hannah and I invested in a very, very expensive mastermind working with James Wedmore. So he's someone who we've worked with as a mentor. He's brilliant at writing copy, but he's also very different than me. So we paid a lot of money to join a 1-year mastermind. And the thing I was really wanting to get out of it was learning messaging. But even within that, I had to learn it and then kind of find my own voice in it. So this was from working in a mastermind. There's a really great course that's more copywriting focused. This is not a plug. This is just someone that I have learned from, called the Copy Cure. I don't think it's open all year round, but that is one that I'm going to dive into next. But the point of this is, would you be willing to dedicate a year, not be like, oh, my launch didn't go well, spend an entire year learning how to become a better writer for your offers, only to get the results in, a year from now? And the truth is for most of my journey, I wasn't willing to dedicate myself like that. This is the power of messaging. But I want to leave you with just some really tangible things, because messaging can be so big. Let's just kind of drill it down to the number one messaging mistake that I learned that I was making. This was me. This is literally from my own mistakes. Talking too much about what a product and service is and not enough about the transformation. People really only care what it can do for them and how it's going to make their life better, how it's going to help them step into that aspirational identity, right? So think about that. What is the connection between what your ideal customer wants most in the entire world, and how will your offer, what you sell, help them get there? If you want to just start in one place, this is the place to start. And know that messaging over time is something that most of us need to work on. And yes, Amber, Hannah is our COO, my business partner. So she and I joined this mastermind together. She is on this call and she's amazing. I forgot there's so many new faces. You don't know all of us. Okay, so here are some questions to help you. Yes, we all love Hannah. She's the best. Here's some questions to help you get clearer and clearer about your messaging, okay? Number one, what does your ideal customer already want? Like, it's a desire they already have. They want it. And how can you connect that to the product or service that you sell? Oh, that's the typo. What do you know? What do you know about what that transformation requires? So there are things, because you have already been down this path, you can say like, hey, just like I'm doing for you, hey, you might be struggling with this. Here's what I know about what it took for me to get this transformation that I'm going to help you shortcut. Be able to explain that. Oh, I love those of you that are saying, I can't write fast enough. Don't worry, we're recording this whole thing. You'll be able to go back. You can fall asleep listening to my voice if you really want to. So you'll have all of this in the recording. And then how can you provide evidence to support that case? This is a perfect place for testimonials, case studies. How can you show your own transformation and put this in the messaging so that you can help communicate that more effectively? But I want to tie all of this together, okay? I told you it was going to be kind of like a high level overview, but I want to make sure also that we're coming back to, so we went wide. Okay, here's the whole system, all the parts. Now let's come back together, okay? Let's start to put this into like, what is the next step for you? And how can we put this all together? Back to the simplest form of this. What's going to set your business up to generate consistent sales is having the right offer put in front of the right audience with the right message. I just want you to take a moment and rate yourself. Rate yourself right now on these 4 areas, okay? 1 to 10, 10 being, well, honestly, I'm not a 10 in any of these areas, and I'm guessing if you're a 10, you're probably not on this call, okay? So I love it. Yeah, you're welcome to share your numbers in the chat. That's perfect. Or you can just write it down for yourself. And here's why I'm going to have you rate yourself, is because what if you dedicated yourself to even picking one of these areas, wherever you're like, ooh, when Lindsay was talking about this tonight, this is the area I think I'm going to do the work over the next 3 months between now and the end of the year. Okay. And then I want you to go back and rate yourself and see if you've noticed any growth, you know? So 1 is kind of like really on the struggle bus, or a 0. I saw somebody saying maybe I'm a 0. And then 10 is, you know, I should be teaching this masterclass. Move over, Lindsay. I've got something to say. Okay. Just rate yourself and look at where you've got the greatest room for improvement, or the place where you're really feeling after this conversation tonight. This is where, man, if I just really honed in on this, I think I would see a huge shift in results. We're going to talk a little bit about how to put this all together. But I feel like it's so important at this point, especially if for a lot of you, you're newer names to me, which means, you know, you're just finding your way into the Powerhouse Women community, which is so exciting. It's so freaking exciting to me. But it's easy to meet someone at this stage of the journey that I'm at, which, you know, this picture was 6-7 years ago, but I've been on this journey for 12 plus years. So it's easy to say, well, okay, of course you can do it, Lindsay, but I can't. And I really want you to know that I always go back to this picture. So this picture was such a pivotal point in my journey. My book was just about to be released. I had no audience to release this book to. I just knew that I had to do something different if I wanted different results. It was the first time I ever committed to something that stretched me. And I paid, I will never forget, it was just under $2,000 for a writing program that helped me finish that damn book. And that damn book went on to inspire this little event called Powerhouse Women that I didn't have an audience for. No one was asking me to create women's events. No one was asking me to create webinars like this. I just was willing to show up and do the steps that we talked about tonight and learn as I went and fail and cry. I remember how sweaty my armpits were when I was giving this free talk that someone allowed me to give. And I woke up every single day and committed myself to getting better. I am not any different than you. I am no smarter. I am no more qualified than you. I've just now have a proven roadmap. So anytime I'm launching something new, now I have the roadmap to follow. That's why I'm so passionate about creating free opportunities like this one to share with you the roadmap so that you have a little bit of a head start. And here's kind of like how I look at it. So yes, we talked about the 3 components, but this is like the step-by-step. If I'm giving you like the treasure map, which if you want to know a fun fact about me, I totally have an affinity for pirates. And I actually had like a pirate birthday party when I was 27. So there you go. So treasure maps are like, you know, it's literally the path from where you want to go to, or where you are to where you want to go. I know I just become an overshare on these calls. Pirate life is the life for me. Yes. But here's what it is. So step 1, you got to craft the offer. So if I'm coming up with something brand new tomorrow, first thing I'm going to say is, great, what's the offer? Who do I want to serve? How am I helping them? Then I have to price it. Pricing can be a really tricky thing because if you're going to make a profit, you have to know how to price it for profit. Then I have to think about the audience piece. Okay, how do I get this in front of more of the right people? Then I need to understand, now I've got their attention. How do I convert that attention into like getting them onto platforms that I own, AKA like my email list? So a lot of times we focus on social media and community building, but we really want to convert that attention to places that we have more ownership, like an email list. Then I need to understand how to launch to people. Don't get overwhelmed, right? I want you to find yourself in whatever step you are currently in. You need to learn how to launch. Launching can be, you know, just launching is so much fun. Honestly, I love launching, and I especially love to teach launch strategy because, again, I've just figured out like the way that's authentic for me, and it allows me to use my gifts and my excitement and And I believe that that's possible for everyone else. Then you literally, this is how I build anything that I launch in my business. You review it and you refine it, always working on getting better. And then there's a whole other skill set to scaling, bringing on the right people in order to support your big dream. Like I shared a little bit of the Powerhouse Women team that we have here tonight that's supporting me right now. Scaling, and the part that I often overlook is celebrating. Now, you don't have to wait till step 7. I think it should say like step 1, craft your offer, celebrate, yay, I did it. Okay. Step 2, price it, celebrate, yay. But remembering that celebrating is actually a really important component. And for me, at least, when I'm on my own, not plugged into community, I often forget to celebrate. And at this point, you really have a couple of options, okay? And this is where I'm going to share with you really what it looks like for those of you that know if you try to do this yourself, you're probably going to be in the same place or about the same place a year from now, which is totally fine. I want to let you know I am a huge believer in everyone taking this journey at their own pace, but you really do have 2 options at this point. Number 1, you can follow this roadmap alone. I literally laid it all out. This is exactly what I do. I follow this whenever I'm launching something new, and it'll get you there, I promise. As long as you know what your next step is, and you know, like, okay, so now I need to learn about pricing. Cool. How am I going to go and find out? Like Google search, learn about crafting an offer. I really mean this. Like for those of you that like, I need to get scrappy. All right. This is my time to roll up my sleeves and I'm going to learn this stuff and learn from free resources. You can Google all of this. You can. No one who's teaching business out there is teaching anything that radically different. Okay. But you also have the option for us to do this together. For those of you that know you are ready to commit and just be held accountable in a different way than you've been holding yourself accountable. And the way and the place that we do that is within my favorite program that we have ever created. It is still literally my heart and soul. And it's called 6-Figure School for a really, really special reason. Because if you actually look up statistics for how many women earn 6 figures just in general, like in their career, but much less how many female business owners scale their business to 6 figures, it's a super low percent, and it's much less than male entrepreneurs. And I really do believe it's time to change that. I do believe that money in the hands of women like you will change the world. Within 6-Figure School, we have literally built the entire program to support you through these steps. Because how many of you have a really, really busy life and you might have the full plan, but the moment you wake up tomorrow, and I saw in the very beginning, I think it was Haley, something about kids in witching hour, like the moment the kids wake up, you actually don't even know how much time you're going to get that day to work on your business. So if you have limited time, especially for those of you who have limited time, you're working a full-time job, you are raising a family, you're doing life and trying to scale a business. I do believe that, yes, you can Google your way here. You can figure it out on your own. Absolutely, you can. And who are you missing the opportunity to impact by doing it yourself, by going slower than you need to go? And that's just really a question to ask yourself. And I'm a big proponent. I say this all the time. I want you to find the mentor that you want to work with, whether or not it's this program or Powerhouse Women. Really take that to heart and think about, who am I missing the opportunity to impact by trying to do this on my own? So within 6-Figure School, we literally designed a course modules that walk you through step by step over 12 weeks, every single one of these, and you have access to the program for life. So someone who isn't able to get through all 12 modules the first time around, doesn't matter. They can take it at their own pace because it's literally designed and built for you to do exactly that. But we lay it out in a really easy to follow step-by-step plan. So you know when you're ready to pick it back up, you know exactly what step to pick back up. I want to share some stories because again, and I don't know if these women are here tonight, but these are some of our past graduates, because to me, they speak exactly to where I was at in the journey. And I don't know any other like fellow perfectionists. This was my other like really big Achilles heel, is knowing that I have a tendency to slow myself down by trying to make things perfect. And I love, so Stacy is an incredible founder. She has a community for women in cybersecurity. So this is just going to give you a taste of like all the different types of businesses and industries that we've been able to help. But she said, perfectionism is no longer paralyzing me. And I love the part where she said, I've made bigger strides in my business in the past 6 months than in the previous 3 years. And that doesn't mean that right now is your time to do that. But I do firmly, this is why I believe in having a plan and having mentorship, because when you commit to it, you can create the same results faster, right? I always tell people, you don't need me. You're going to be successful on your own. I know it. I believe it for all of you. But I also do believe that we can help you get there faster. So I love Stacy's story so much. Sarah Mayer was on the call earlier. So this is a shout out to Sarah. She's incredible. She was actually one of like the founding members when we first started Six Figure School. I love it, Sarah. And your picture is literally even like this exact same picture. I don't know if you want to unmute. I literally didn't even set you up to do this, but I don't know if you want to share like from your perspective. This is obviously your story, but if you want to like say a few words, you totally can. And if not, you can tell me, just read my words, Lindsay.
Well, thank you, Lindsay. I wasn't expecting that.
I know. I saw you on here. I was like, oh, she's getting a shout out.
Oh, well, I started Six Figure School when I was in my corporate job and I was building something on the side. And that happened to be in 2020. And so my big joke was during Six Figure School, I had to call, well, it was called something different then, but I had to call in and say, well, I no longer have a job, so now I'm in the deep end of the pool. And I can tell you that that was the best thing that ever happened to me, because I'm not sure I ever would have left. But Six Figure School, then the next year, it became Six Figure School. And now I have 3 full-time people that work on my team. And that's all because I did the work to put together the plan, and the roadmap came from this program.
Well, and this is just such a kudos to you, because even though you already have the roadmap and you can go back through the course, you're always still here with the mind of a student, digging in and learning and honing your skills. So I love you. Thanks for letting me just like randomly call you out. But, I don't know about you guys, like hearing it from an actual person, it just means more, because at the end of the day, I'm biased. I believe so much in this program. I'm going to tell you, I think it's amazing, but I also want you to be able to ask each other, because that sometimes carries more weight. So I just want to tell you really quickly what is all included. I just have a couple more slides really, and then we're going to do our giveaway and I'll answer some questions. But we really designed this to have everything that you need. So you've got 12 weeks of strategy modules. That's what I showed you, the roadmap. We literally break it down. You get all the coaching worksheets to help you implement. But the thing that I was most passionate about was including the mindset modules. So every single week, you also get mindset modules in order to help you get out of your own way and stay out of your own way, because that's easier said than done. But we also, it's part course. So you get this course content, and then you also get the community. So imagine this energy for 12 weeks, supporting one another, cheering one another on. And it doesn't stop at 12 weeks, because like I said, you actually get access to the entire program, including future live calls for the life of the program. So like Sarah, who's here, who went through the very first round, can come back and tune in on all of the live calls for as many rounds as she wants. So we do 12 weeks of live hot seat coaching calls. You get a community. There's an entire library of bonus features. And when we added it all up, what's so exciting to me is like just the value that we've packed into this program. I was literally telling Ronnie Brown at the event on Saturday what we offer it for, and she goes, "Oh, I think you should double that." So I haven't, but also I was like, "Oh yeah, that's probably a good point." But the investment for Six Figure School paying in full is $29.97. It's not $10,000, even though it's really valued at so much more than that. But if you were at the Powerhouse Women event, you know that the event attendee discount was $1,000 off. And Hannah and I connected this week, and we were feeling really, really generous. Let's just say that, because the discount was supposed to end last night, but until tomorrow at midnight, Wednesday night at midnight, we are going to honor the $1,000 attendee discount, event attendee discount. So you'll save $1,000. You'll get the program for $19.97. And here's why this is so important to me, because that initial investment for me of $19.97 literally changed my life. It literally led to everything that you see here. And even though I probably should charge or could charge a lot more for it, that just feels so special to me, because that is the amount that I invested in myself to start all of this. So, but wait, there's more. Because I was like, well, if we're extending the discount, can we also extend the bonuses? I act like Hannah ever is against this, but we really talked about it. And I was like, well, here's the thing. I really want people to also have the bonus bundle, because these bonus courses, so there's 3 bonus courses you're also getting that combined are actually worth double the price of Six Figure School. So I guess, yeah, call me Oprah. But it's important, because as we did the course 3 years ago, we've added this extra content to really help you with the launch component, the messaging component, and something really exciting that I'm going to share, the last one. So the first bonus is our organic launch blueprint course. So even though there's launch modules within Six Figure School, we have a whole course that really digs deep into launch strategy. So that course alone is valued at $500. You're getting that. I'm like, you get a course. Isn't that the Oprah line? The second course is all about messaging. So those of you that were like, ooh, the messaging piece is where I struggle. We created last year this incredible course called Magnetic Messaging, with just these little tangible, easy to implement tips to help take your messaging to the next level. I know Annalise is saying, this is what I need. So many of us do. Okay. This is literally, I took everything I learned that I paid tens of thousands of dollars to learn from this mentor and mastermind, and distilled it down into, in my own words, here's what the main thing I learned, and gave it to you. So that one is also valued at $500. This is the one I'm most excited about. Okay. We finally created the course everyone asked for. We created the course that literally breaks down the exact formula for how we have cultivated this community. Now, you might be thinking, well, I don't want to start a community or an event like Powerhouse Women. If you have a product, you need to be building community. If you have a service and you build community, you will literally create a constant funnel of people who want to work with you. Community at a macro level is the missing piece to being able to outsell the size of your audience. Yeah. We aren't even planning to sell this separately. We literally created it as a bonus for Six Figure School, because I want you to have this. This is no one else teaches this stuff. And I always say it's not rocket science, but there is a science to it. And if you felt the energy at the Powerhouse Women event, you know what I'm talking about. So Megan's asking, so if you've already done Six Figure School, these are bonuses for new people joining, but stay tuned for those of you that want access to it. Because if you've already done Six Figure School, maybe we'll make it available for you separately or something like that. So is that not so exciting? I don't know if you guys get as excited about that as I do, but this is literally everything that you need. If you are someone who's ready to go all in, it's going to have everything that you need and the community to support you. But I posted this on Instagram today, and this is really what I want everyone to think about, because this is often what keeps people from saying yes to themselves, investing in themselves and jumping in, is they're like, well, maybe next year I'll have my idea, and then I'll be ready. And maybe for you, waiting is actually the best plan, But there are some of you that if you wait, you will just be in the same place, not feeling any more ready or any more worthy or any more qualified 1 year from now. And the truth is that you don't have to be further along. You just have to be a step or two ahead of the person that you want to serve. And I guarantee that you already are. So a couple of other women that are just so important to us, that are such pillars in the Powerhouse Women community. Kelly Koosman, I always love to share her story because people will ask like, well, is this for me if I have a product-based business? And Kelly has an amazing fragrance company. She's the one we collaborated with to do our very own scent for the Powerhouse Women event. She sells a product line called Kayla Gray. And I remember she came to me also with Sarah when she was working in corporate, wanted to leave her job. And she really shared that she had a lot of the product background knowledge, how to scale a product-based company, but the mindset work and being surrounded by other entrepreneurs was the thing that really made the difference for her. And yeah, her product is amazing. And we're working on if she'll come do another rerun of that scent, because it is amazing. And the last one is an online boutique owner. So Shanae, she was also at the Powerhouse Women event. And I love how if you actually talk to the women who've done this program, every single one of them will mention the community. And that really is the differentiating factor of Powerhouse Women versus, there's actually a lot of really brilliant business coaches who can teach business. And again, I want you to find the person that really resonates with you. But if you're someone who's like, I do not want to do this alone. I want to do this with people who, I love it. Someone in the chat said, I just want to be friends with all of you. I literally have watched people meet and connect with their best friends in this program, start businesses together, run with each other, grow their businesses together. And that's really what it's all about. We're going to open it up for questions in just a moment before we do the giveaways, but I'll just leave this one up on the screen. So for those of you that have stuck around this long, I know a lot of you, I've seen a lot of you in the chat that are already a part of the program with us. Already joined, and I'm so excited to get started. We kick off on September 8th. One of the questions that has come through the text list, so you can text me the letters SFS to this number. You'll get the link with all the details. So the sales page also has like a ton of information, a lot of FAQs. But the first module drops on September 8th. So that's what we consider the official kickoff. The whole call schedule is there, everything you need. So we won't answer those questions tonight just because it's all on the sales page. But a couple people have asked if there is a payment plan. And there will be a payment plan. It'll be announced later this week, but I will tell you, it doesn't include the bonuses, the discount, any of that. So if you're here and you're like, this is for me, I am all in, and in order to do that, there's got to be a payment plan option or it's not going to happen. We will be announcing that. But I want to say this. I fully believe in the power of paying in full when you can. Now, this is not me saying that you won't be successful if you choose the payment plan. I've chosen payment plans with different programs that I've done. I just prioritize and really incentivize paying in full because what I notice for myself is when I'm paying in full, I show up differently. And someone asked in the chat, so the event ticket bonus that did expire yesterday. So we're not doing the Powerhouse event ticket. That was only for literally the people who jumped on it right away. But you do get the $1,000 off, which you can invest that into the Powerhouse Women event. And that's okay, Adora. Thank you so much. And that was one of the bonuses from the Powerhouse Women event, but that is the one we have to cap it because we can't give away all the event tickets for free. So that is not a bonus anymore, but we extended the discount and the 3 bonus courses, which actually are the most valuable part of the whole thing. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to leave this up so you can text in if you have questions. I'm going to do the giveaway first, and then I'll take some time to answer questions, just in case those of you who have to hop off can. But I will stay on for as long as you need me to and answer questions. So I am going to check to see if I have had the winners sent to me. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Are you guys ready? I always wish there was like a drum roll noise to be able to do the winners. But I just really want to acknowledge all of you for showing up. And yeah, someone in the chat said 3-hour time difference. Thank you for showing up for you. Thank you for your attention. You'll get the replay of this. You'll be able to go back and listen. And then for those of you that are going to join us for Six Figure School, I cannot wait to get started. But without further ado, okay, I'm going to announce the winner of the MacBook first. And if you're here, I want you to unmute and like you're winning the Price is Right. Okay. We want to hear your excitement. Okay. So congratulations to Megan Henderson. Megan, are you here?
So excited. Thank you.
Okay, so what we're going to have you do, and Natalie will put it in the chat, we're going to have you send an email to hello@powerhousewomen.co. Yeah, go ahead and jot that down. hello@powerhousewomen.co. It's just .co. Because with the value of the prize, we'll have to have you fill out like a tax form and stuff. So congrats.
Thank you so much.
It was so great to see you at the Powerhouse event.
So
Yay.
great seeing you, Lindsay. Thank you for everything.
You are so welcome. Okay, and last but not least, the trip to the Powerhouse Women event, all expenses paid trip to 2024, whenever it is. We don't even have the date yet, but this is the first person who's coming. Talon Christ. I know you're here somewhere, girl. The suspense.
Trip.
Hey, girl, hey. Look at that smile. Another friend from the community that I got to meet in real life at the Powerhouse Women event this year. You are going to be coming back to the 2024 event on us, VIP all the way.
Thank you so much.
You are so welcome, sweet girl.
Love
Congratulations.
you.
Okay, so same thing as Megan. I'm going to have you write down that email address. And you'll just send us an email so we can get you all the details for that.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Natalie will put it in the chat again. Yay. Okay, can we please
Thank you.
congratulate everyone who stayed on, who just participated, shared so much energy. I'm so grateful for all of you. And I am going to open it up for a couple of questions. So what we'll do, and I see Kelly already started the party and she has her hand raised. If you look on the bottom of your Zoom screen where it says reactions, it'll give you the option to raise your hand. And then that's how I'll know what order to take questions in. And we're going to take a couple of questions. So you can ask questions about Six Figure School, or if you have a quick clarifying question about something we went over tonight, we can answer those. If anyone asks a question that's already on the Six Figure School sales page, I'll just probably direct you there just so we can get through as many questions as possible. But Kelly, why don't you go ahead and unmute and tell us your question?
Hi. Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you so much because this has been amazing and so helpful. My question is really just for you as somebody who I'm currently in school for my doctorate, and in probably the last year have really developed my big dreams. I work full-time in corporate, and my goal is to create a podcast and community and a whole big thing for other women who are getting their doctorate. But I think as I start to think about a podcast, really just being so inspired by the community you've built and the authenticity that you bring to a podcast, it feels so overwhelming because you don't see the people necessarily, right? You're talking to people person to person, but you don't see them.
Yeah, talking to yourself.
Right. Yeah. If there are other women like myself out there who want to do that podcast, what are your words of wisdom, or what are maybe some words of encouragement that you would offer to us as we get started?
Yeah. And specifically for like how to deliver it in a way that just feels like you're connecting. Is that what you're getting at?
Yes.
Yeah, it does feel awkward at first. Even still, sometimes it feels awkward. But what I'll say is that it took me a little trial and error to find like physically where in my house I feel best recording. And then I really plan ahead so that I can record in moments where I'm really feeling inspired to. Because I find that if I can, if I don't have like such a rigid schedule where it's like I have to record on Monday, maybe Monday someone says something mean in my comments and then I don't really feel like inspired to record. I try to get far enough ahead where like a lot of times what'll happen is I'll go on a walk, and for me, my ideas come on a walk, and I'll come home, I'll turn on the mic, and I will just talk and right when I'm in the moment of inspiration. So I think number one, that has really helped me. But number two is you could also do something like, if you're someone who's really better, like your speaking is better when you're talking to people, you could host a small Zoom call and use that audio as a podcast to kind of get you started and get the momentum going. So I think it's all about finding what works best for you. But yeah, it feels kind of weird at first just talking into a computer screen for sure. But if you need some, inspiration, go back and like, if you could scroll all the way back to the first Powerhouse Women podcast, and, I was sweating under the armpits profusely. And I remember I re-recorded the first episode, and I was like, I'm only allowing myself to do this one. From here on out, I'm not gonna be perfectionistic about this. I'm gonna get one redo because it's the first episode. It's the Powerhouse story. I really want it to be effective, but I totally re-recorded it because I was like, that was terrible.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I hope that helps. And honestly, just practice. The more you do it, the easier it gets. I even feel like right now I'm almost to 500 episodes. I'm
That's
actually
amazing.
past that if you count bonus episodes, but I talk on Zoom all the time. I host a lot of calls and I podcast a lot. And all of a sudden, I feel like I'm hitting this really cool groove where I'm feeling even like a deeper level of comfort. And I'm 3+ years and 500 episodes in. So consistency. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I thought I saw one more hand up, Jennifer, but if you don't have a question anymore, if you hopped off. Oh, I still see you here.
Nope.
Did you want to ask a question? Hi.
Yeah. Hi. All right. So one of the things that I saw on our long feed and here was, I think we talked about this earlier. I work, the calls are not going to happen for me, but I was like, forget it. I'm not going to use that as an excuse.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit the replay. But what's your suggestion for those of us who can't hit the majority of the calls to connect? Because that's like priority as well.
Totally. I thank you so much for asking this question, because so she's talking about the live calls for Six Figure School. This is a very common question. And here's what's funny. We've run this program, I think like 6-7 times. Every time we've tested a new like time for the call. Every time, no matter what time we pick, there are people who can't make it. So we do our best to find a time that really, works. And we kept it at the same time-ish as like the girl gang calls, because our community is kind of used to that time zone. So what I would say is that there are absolutely people who have done this program and made it their intention to connect. We have everyone in a Facebook group. So either creating like little study groups, or like if you find 1 or 2 other women who are like, hey, on Sundays at 5, like that time works for us, we can commit to that. We're going to all commit to watching the call and then hopping on for 30 minutes and just supporting each other. And even if you are attending the live calls, that's something that could be really beneficial if it feels like, that's something that would serve you. So there's so much. I mean, even if you just look at the chat tonight, is all these people saying, hey, who lives here? How can we connect? That's the culture that we create. So we'll definitely suggest some options. And then this time we want to add some that are just totally for like social and connecting. So we're not sure exactly what that's going to look like, but there'll be an off day and time that's hopefully a different option for people who are busy during the day and can't come. But yes, they're always recorded. You have access to all future live calls as well. That's a great question though. Let's see. Sarah, I see your hand up.
Hi.
Okay, I think this is probably a limiting belief, but I just want to know if you've had healthcare providers or people that maybe have licenses that kind of restrict who they can provide services to, still have success. And I, I'm concerned that I'm not going to be able to reach the same amount of people that I want to. So what are your thoughts on that?
Are you like a therapist, for example?
I'm a nurse practitioner.
Okay, so and then your business is going to be something separate outside of that?
No, I work in fertility, so my goal is to eventually I'd like to have a course and everything else, but really I want to just support people through a fertility journey in a more integrative way. That's not what you would receive at a regular doctor's office. And
Yeah. So the question really is, how do you kind of work around the fact that there are some limitations with your licensing, et cetera, correct?
Right.
Yeah. So it's a little bit different, obviously, depending on everyone's profession. We've had mental health professionals, other health professionals, you know, be a part of the course too. And here's what I would say to you. I think it's so easy to kind of get this idea in our minds that we need this huge audience in order to, like, if you think about even like your dream goal for what this business could produce financially, for most of us, and this may or may not be the case for you, but I'll just kind of test this theory. For most of us, we can create a wildly successful business serving less than 500 clients, or even like bandwidth wise, maybe like you'll only physically be able to serve, let's say, less than 100 clients a year. So yours is going to be not so much focus on size as it is like segmentation of the audience that you're building, so that you can send the specific offers to the groups that it's applicable to. And that is really, really easy to do, just even like as far as building an email list. And your social media could be the place where you're kind of spreading your general message. But then if you created specific opt-ins to get people to join different email lists, that could be a really brilliant way to segment and then make offers specific to what they're, you know, which bucket they fall into. That's kind of the first thing that I think of.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
Yes, and that's a really common question. I saw a couple others in the chat who have similar backgrounds and might feel limited by that. So that's actually really, I'm glad that you asked. Only because I've seen it a couple times, and my girl Heather, I don't want to leave you hanging in the chat. She asked if there's a cap on the number of people we take in each six-figure school round. And I will say that we have not yet broken the program. We've never had like so many people join that it just like physically we're not able to facilitate the calls. So it always ends up being the group it's meant to. It's really kind of cool how that happens. So, and then not everyone is able to attend the live calls, of course. So it's, you know, it's typically smaller call sizes than what tonight was. But even if you look, tonight we had over 300 people, and individual people are getting to ask their questions. So we've always been able to facilitate where we get to do everything that we intended to do. And the energy of the collective group is so powerful. Okay, is it pronounced January?
It's January. I know it's such a.
I'm like, I'm definitely butchering this, but I'm going for it, and you'll correct me. January.
Yes, January.
Hi.
Hi. So my question is, I run a marketing agency, and that's kind of like my business. Been doing it for some years, but I'm kind of done with it. I want to move on to my next thing. So this is where I'm at, and that's why I'm here today.
Oh.
How do I'm putting more systems and process so I can kind of get out of the business, let that run, and then do more of a empowering women and doing different things with that and building my personal brand. Where should I start? Like, how do I wait to put that into place, or what small thing can I do right now? Because I'm so busy with everything. So
yeah. Okay. And are you going to be like phasing out of the marketing side of things?
Yes,
so
yes, but like I want to leverage my marketing skills.
Yes. And I was clarifying that because, so anyone here who's like doing I was doing this thing and I want to pivot and do this other thing, the way I think about it is, number one, your personal brand is the place where you can take people along on that ride. Now, what I think works best is if you start to introduce, let's just say like in 100% of the content you create, let's say if it's mostly of the business content you create, maybe it starts to be 90% business, 10% like women empowering and like this message. And you just start to say like, hey, I realize I've never really shared this with you guys, but like, here's something I'm really passionate about. And hey, anyone else out here, like love personal development, love this. And then you kind of go to like 80-20, then 70-30. And eventually you're kind of like, as you enroll people and get, you know, your new listening audience in kind of on board with the direction you want to take them, then you can start to say, hey, everyone, over the last year, I've been like really making this pivot. Now I'm officially making it and I'm excited to take you along on that journey. But I think it's just, you know, inviting people along on the ride in whatever way feels authentic to you. And I think that if we take our community along with us, they're not, you know, surprised when we make a pivot.
Love that. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, such a great question. Okay, I'm just checking the chat because Natalie, thank you so much for helping me make sure I'm not missing them. Have artists gone through six-figure school? That is a great question. I mean, we've pretty much had about everything I can think of. Off the top of my head, I'm not coming up with a specific artist, which it sounds like you are a painter. That's so incredible. Here's what I would say. It's really for, oh, am I forgetting someone, Hannah?
We had someone come through that was like they created things out of like steel.
Oh, that's
it
right.
wasn't like an art,
Yes,
like
yes.
she didn't paint, but she created art just in a
Yes.
different form.
Yeah. And what's so cool, well, number one, we've had over 300 women come through the program. So there's a lot that I'm probably not, I don't know intimately exactly what their business was, but what we focus on is the business fundamentals. So kind of like we talked about tonight, Ashley, for your art, you'll need to have a plan. Like the offer is of course the art piece. That for you is pretty straightforward, but knowing how to get it in front of the right audience and how to connect with them through messaging on social media, how you're showing up, that it applies to pretty much every business. So that side of things would definitely relate. And there's other really, really creative people. So all different types of art and different types of like products and services. So I hope that answers the question. Let me know if let's see, was there a bonus for a community course? Okay, so we're getting this question a lot. What I will say, for those of you that have been through six-figure school before, just hang tight, because we've been asked more than a few times about the community bonus specifically. If you can purchase that separately, we'll work on that. I wasn't expecting so many people to be interested in it, and that's so exciting. So yes, we're always going to listen to you guys. We're always going to, you know, try to give you what you want. So just know we're working on it. And thank you so much for always telling us how we can serve you better. Okay, so I think that's all the questions. Here's what I will tell you. If you jotted down that number, which Natalie, if you don't mind even putting the text number in the chat again, if after tonight you have more questions and maybe you didn't want to ask them on a public call. Okay, I see one more question. I'll get to that one. You can text me questions. So this text number comes directly to me. I personally answer it. People think I'm lying. They think I don't really do that, but I really do. I was up till like 10 p.m. last night answering people's questions. I was like Kermit the Frog with like the furious typing fingers, answering everyone's questions. So you can text there to get the link. You can text there to ask me questions. One more question from Natalie. Have there been many students who have been able to replace their 9-to-5 income when starting from scratch / a new idea? So yes, there have. And what I will say is we will never be the type of program or mentors that are going to say, we promise you in 12 weeks, that'll happen. For the women that I'm thinking of, like Kelly Koosman is one, she's gone on to create multiple six figures. You know, it didn't happen within maybe the first 12 weeks, or even for some, it didn't happen within the first year. But there absolutely are women in the community that have done that. And what's so cool, and the way we designed the program is because alumni students are invited to come back and are always still plugged into the Facebook group, you're not only getting to be mentored by me and by Hannah, by us, but the group, the community really does end up supporting each other. And, you know, not to say that there's like direct mentorship from people in the community, but that's just kind of how we roll. So if it's like, hey, I'm struggling to do XYZ, or I'm feeling really defeated today, and I just need to hear from someone who's a few steps ahead and, you know, has been able to successfully leave their job. There are people in the community who can, you know, come alongside you. So, you know, I think it is really important to set expectations. You know, we call it Six Figure School, and I love, you know, the intention behind that name. And for me, it took me a good couple of years before I cracked that first 6 figures in revenue. And I think that's actually a more relatable and true version of what the journey looks like. But I do believe that anyone can do it. So, okay, if you missed the Powerhouse Women event, yes, the replay is still available. You can use that same link that you got, and until September 8th, that will be available. And let's see, how do you determine the value of an offer? It's really so dependent on what industry that you're in. Trying to figure out how to really estimate the value of a custom Squarespace website design. So I feel like a great, just like quick way to do that is to, you know, look at some other examples in the industry, really look at what's kind of like the going rate. And then from there, what's your experience level? What value are you offering? You know, there's so many other factors, but I love this question, and I'll kind of just end on this. One of my favorite questions for coming up with pricing isn't to ask myself, how much would someone be willing to pay for this? A better question, my favorite question is, how invested does someone need to be in order for them and me to show up in this business transaction as the versions of ourselves we need to be in order to get the transformation? So even in a website, you're showing up as a professional, they have to be invested enough to really trust you and be invested in, you know, there's some truth to saying that when we're charging lower prices, it sometimes attracts people who just are resonating differently, you know, and maybe are a little bit more difficult. So I ask myself, how invested do I need to be? How invested does the other person need to be in order to get the transformation that this, you know, business relationship is promising? And then how can I add so much value that that price is a no-brainer? That's a better question to answer. So I know I'm like Yoda. I love to answer questions with questions, but it's because no one can tell any of us what the perfect price is. I think it's more powerful to have tools that lead us to our own answers. Okay, so with that, it is literally dark outside my window. I have talked to you enough. I love you. I will miss you until next time. And then Natalie dropped the text number one more time in the chat. So stay tuned. The replay will be sent out right after this. And I cannot wait to get started with those of you that are joining us for Six Figure School. Bye, everybody.